and my lace is tied. My trusty podcast by my side. If you wanna tuck run, it's the place to be. Yeah, it's the drop, D-R-O-P.
All right, this is Thomas with Believe in the Run.
This is Megan with Believe in the Run. This is Rebekah Broh, the Senior Director of Product at Hoka. And Val Weilert, Senior Design Manager of Performance Road Footwear.
All right, so last time I saw you, we're under the bright lights of the running event. We talked about some of these shoes, but this is a much better backdrop for this, isn't it?
I agree. Fresh air is really nice here.
And Val, we only see you in Florida.
I have a second home here.
Yeah, last time we saw you was the Olympic trials.
Yes.
Which actually, it's almost a year away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were talking about the Cielo X1. And it's been changed now. We have the Cielo X1 2.0. You can explain why it's the X1 2.0, right?
Sure can. But I also just wanted to mention that the comments that y'all made on the laces haunted our dreams for the last year plus. You know, we had to get after it for everybody out there. Yeah, naming shoes is always a really fun adventure for us. Part of the Cielo X1 story was really inspiration from like Formula One, race cars, that really super speedy, innovative mentality. And so for us, we also had a track spike named the Cielo X2 LD and Cielo X2 MD. So we decided to do a little bit of both, right? Cielo X1 2.0.
See, and I brought that up at tacos earlier, and they were looking at me like I was crazy.
You were spot on.
Because I was like, because somebody made a comment on our YouTube video about that. But,
yep.
Okay, so when we were here last, I absolutely love, you know that I love the Cielo X1, maybe not for its intended purpose.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It had the right amount of cush. I mean, I just loved it. We obviously I thought when we were going to get this 2.0, it was just going to be an upper update. But you guys totally stripped down from the top to bottom. And I have a couple questions, and I'll start with, I mean, first off, the shape of the foam. We went from having an opening on the lateral edge on the outside of the foot to now it's tucked on the inside. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Why did you make that change, and what does that do for the runner?
Yeah, Val?
Yeah. So as a super user of the shoe myself, I really felt like that transition needed to be smoothed out, and the impact is so much more extreme on that lateral landing side. I felt like having foam there was important to get the most return out of the shoe, and then utilizing the plate to kind of cradle the midfoot and the arch, also the top stack, I think does a good job of keeping the midfoot stability there.
One question a lot of people watching the video that we did our first thoughts was, is it missing the fun of the first one? Because the fun, did it not have the fun factor?
Any thoughts wear testers?
Was that question directed at me?
No, I wasn't directing at you. I was going to say, was that something you considered when you were designing it to keep that basic feel of the original Cielo?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think the foam combinations, the rocker, just the stacks we're working with keeps the ride really fun. I feel like there was a little more intention on getting after like the athlete race experience and making sure that people felt their ultimate fastest in the shoe.
Is it the same foam as the Cielo X1? All right,
yeah.
Awesome. Because it does have that bouncy, spongy feel that I really loved.
Yeah.
And it carries over. I really like it. I feel like the rocker is different, but I like the toe spring seems a little more extreme. Am I imagining that?
No, I mean, Becca and I talked about this being like a more forefoot, midfoot focused driven shoe. I think every time we design a shoe, we look at it as a new experience and an opportunity to like innovate and not do the same thing over and over again. So every time we're tweaking, we're learning, and I think this rocker really gives you that toe off you want and that extension. So we're hearing good things from the athletes about that.
Meg, you tried it as well. I want to get your feedback on what you thought of the rocker and the sponginess.
I mean, I did some 400s on the treadmill.
Nice.
And it felt really great. So and one of the first things I noticed was the weight, and I feel like this shoe felt like race day.
Yeah.
Looks like it, feels like it, whereas where we felt a little bit like the original was super fun, very bouncy, but maybe lacked that like really racy feel.
Yeah. Well, and that was exactly one of the reasons we wanted to get after weight in the 2.0 version of this. everyone has amazing super trainers right now. There are only so many super trainers we can all have in our closet. So we really wanted to be aggressive and make sure that this was a race first shoe. We knew to get there, a couple adjustments to like the geometries, that underfoot transition like Val talked to, but then also reducing weight by about an ounce on that.
Where did that weight loss come from?
Kind of everywhere, looking at the base nets, trimming out the geometry. Where do we need that foam to extend and where don't we? Especially in the upper, just the materials, like trimming the liners, everything was just looked at from a race perspective. So,
let's talk about that upper real quick.
Yeah.
So we've gone to more of a traditional mesh, I wouldn't even say traditional, but how would you describe that mesh?
So it's more of, the other one was a flat knit and this is a woven. So in that case, you just get stronger connections with that better lockdown with the material. And then that combined with a more traditional heel, I think keeps the foot on the platform in a stiff carbon plated shoe. So
how did you find the fit?
Yeah, it fit great. I really liked it. I feel like the updates across the board were it's just like a fine-tuned version of the previous one, which is lovely.
Yeah, we really wanted to make sure that I think we had those improvements to the fit and the comfort in the heel, and then the additional breathability in the upper too was a huge one for us. And I think to be able to do that and still reduce weight from the upper was also a big goal that Val and the team absolutely crushed in that.
Yeah, we're gonna put it through the true test on Sunday in the half marathon to see if it still feels breathable in 80 degrees and when you're melting at mile 12. But
sweaty
Miami's
socks
a good test. Yep.
TBD. Okay, I know we dove straight into nerdy shoe talk, but I feel like for maybe someone who didn't listen to our original podcast when we were back in Orlando, I know you guys said your titles, but can you explain what that is and sort of what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Sure. I'll start. Maybe the world of product line management is a little bit more complicated sometimes than design, but the product line management team really gets the joy and the honor of helping figure out how we brief new products. So we're truly responsible for understanding the consumer need, what runners are loving or not loving about certain products, what's happening in the marketplace in terms of trends, and then we get to write the briefs that really help kind of determine how we co-create with our partners in design and development and figure out what kind of shoe we need to make when and for who.
Very good.
Yeah.
Val?
Yeah. So as a senior design manager, I'm kind of a coach and a player. So I'm working on products as well as helping other designers in the performance road space. A daily is hard to describe because it's always changing and there's always seasons and always shoes to be had and working on and trips to Miami. But basically, working with a PLM, a developer, and a wide range of other teammates that help get the job done. Super fun. We get to sketch and ideate and get samples and prototypes, and really it's just a long process to get to the right version we all feel good about, but designing is great.
And how closely do you guys work with, whether it's wear testers, like an average runner, or professional athletes? How closely do you guys work with those?
Well, we sit pretty close to our wear test team, so our office is pretty tight in Portland with how fast we're growing at the moment. So our wear test team does an incredible job of validating product with athletes of all abilities across the country, which is fantastic. And then we work really, really closely with our elite athletes as well. Actually, just 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago, we had a huge global athlete summit in Portland, which was incredible to touch base with our road, trail, track athletes all at once. And so we're regularly going down to Flagstaff in particular, and then wherever else athletes need us to keep them in the loop and make sure we're getting their feedback.
Do you find that there's a big difference between the feedback you get from elite athletes versus the everyday runner?
It depends on the athlete. I can't wait to hear
Totally.
your
I was going to say,
too.
kind of surprisingly no, in that, they're all looking for that fast experience, and maybe there's nuances in the speed that they're going at, but still, I think we're all, trying to get that race day.
See, that's what I like, because I feel like, as somebody who's like a middle pack marathoner, I feel like I can tell the mechanics and I can feel the shoe, and often Megan and I will have a similar experience in a shoe, and I think it's one of those things that, when we're trying to convey in a review of a shoe, that you can feel when a shoe is tuned correctly and when it's hitting right, and you can do it at a fast pace like Megan, or you can do it at a moderate pace like myself. But when the shoes sing, like especially for example, on the Cielo X1 2.0, the new upper fits both our feet. And we both I have a narrow foot, Meg has a wide foot, but the experience underfoot is pretty similar, wouldn't you say? Yep. And that's the tip of the spear. That's the fun ones to work on. I'm thinking that we're going to talk now about the Bondi, which is
before we transition. I don't want to leave race day yet. Specifically because I feel like now we see you guys have 2 race shoes. So what's the big differentiation between the two? If someone's like, I love Hoka, I want a race day shoe. Why are they choosing Rocket versus Cielo?
Well, one, we knew it was really important to have options, right? Because especially if we consider how we're going to keep pushing a shoe like the Cielo X1. Bye, towel. I think we want to just make sure that we have those. Mr. Towel, stay put. We have to make sure we have those opportunities to really push and take some risks based on new technologies, new materials, new foams, new compounds. And so when we look at athletes and we look at regular runners, right, you see there are often 2 different schools of thought. There are those athletes that want to take risks and they're willing to take risks with their product, and there are those that are not. And so for those of us, right, who just want something that feels really like tried, tested, true, a little bit more stable, a little bit more predictable, the Rocket X2 is home. Okay. That shoe is going to give you everything you need in terms of a wide range of biomechanics. So if you're a heel striker, you're going to be great. You're going to be covered. Versus something like the Cielo X1, where we're going to keep pushing like the extreme nature of geometries in a shoe like that. So it truly is faster paced, midfoot, forefoot focused for that person who is willing to put a little bit more into that shoe.
And the great thing about both of them is that they each offer the most performance we have in the foams, in the carbon plates, most reduced uppers. They're just slightly tweaked from a more aggressive to less aggressive range.
I have a question for you then. Which you've run in the Rocket X, and we haven't run in the, I guess there's going to be another one coming, 3. But I'm assuming it'll come. Right now, though, if you had to pick a race day shoe, and I know you haven't raced in the Cielo X1 2.0, are you putting on the Rocket or are you putting on the new Cielo X? I know what my answer is.
I think for marathon, I'm going Rocket because I'm that feels safer to me.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll change my mind after Sunday. I just haven't put enough miles in the Cielo. So being like a safe person, I'm
100% on board with the Cielo now.
Great.
Like, I really like the way, I was trying to describe like the feeling, like you get underneath the front of your foot in the palm or whatever you call it, you get a sensation of energy return that I love in a shoe that's like that. It's giving you feedback when you run and you know when you're picking up the pace. I don't know that you have as extreme toe spring in the Rocket, so I want that. And I'm actually kind of surprised because I would think from what you like and your preferences that that would be yours too.
I'm telling you, after Sunday, my decision will probably change. But just right now, this very minute, I need more time in the shoe.
But it's true. Like sometimes you don't want what could feel like a more obtrusive race day experience, right? You want to be able to feel something that feels comfortable and natural for you. And other times you really want to feel like you are pushing it and the shoe is helping you do the work.
Yeah. I will say I did 4 miles when we landed here in Miami today in the Cielo X1 2.0. And I was very grateful for it because I was like, it's very hot. It's very humid. I need all the help I can get. And this is helping. Nice.
It does have like an assist sensation, especially like people who are concerned about the lateral side. It almost feels like a pod that's getting you to the toe.
Yeah.
Like, just
and I do feel like the rocker just feels very extreme in a good way in this shoe.
Yeah, I noticed it. Like your heel doesn't feel like it's on the ground when you're standing flat in it. But a real quick question for you, and then because this one would be frustrating for me if I was in your position. So last time we were talking to you, we were releasing the Cielo X1, and we were kind of like, hey, we're not the flat knit, maybe not, and the laces, maybe not. And in the back of your mind, you know what you're working on already. You know what's coming down the pipe.
Yes.
How frustrating is it there to like look us in the face and be like, shut up?
I mean, I'm on the same page as you. I mean, sometimes we nail things and sometimes we have regrets, like the boat that passed us.
No regrets.
I know. But I mean, there's another one cooking, and I'm like, I don't know if we should do that. But we can exit that one out.
No, we know everybody knows there's another.
There's
one
always
cooking.
another one cooking, but I'm really happy with the 2.0. So No regrets.
No regrets. It'll be fun to see it out on the race course on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Meg, are you ready to talk about the Bondi?
Yeah.
All right. So we're kind of transitioning from it's just exciting to see all the research and technology and the fun things that go into race day shoes. I think it's like if you're like IndyCar and then you take what you learn and you bring it down into the rest of the line. Now the Bondi, you can't mess around with that much. It's a fan favorite.
Yep.
How difficult is it to work on a shoe like this that you don't want to lose or upset people that currently love a shoe that was out for 2 years before an update?
There was definitely some pressure on the team for this one, Val, right?
For sure. I mean, you listen to the people. I think we really kind of reassessed what made the Bondi so successful in the past and tried to bring those elements back while modernizing the materials and the foam and tweaking anything we could do to improve it. So
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's another interesting one. By even talking to athletes too, we realized a lot of our Hoka athletes weren't even using the Bondi for a lot of mileage. They were using the Clifton for everything. And so I think it just also sparked this thought in us that, man, like, okay, if our elites aren't even using the shoe as a great like easy mile recovery day shoe, what is this missing from what we thought it held for them in our lineup? And so that even started some conversation around the Bondi 9 for just bringing that like playful runability back to the Bondi a little bit.
So talk to us about these updates. What has changed since version 8?
go for it.
Oh, well,
we can tag team it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, starting with the upper, I'll work on that one. I think the like molding in the collar and like attention to all the plush details we have here really like bring the Bondi up.
All right,
a
time
notch.
out. Time out on
What do
this
you wanna
one.
do?
I want the molding on the collar. I see we get the text sheet and it says 3D molded collar.
What does that mean?
Exactly.
Literally what it says. So we have basically, I mean, the cool part is we've been using new 3D software and I experimented with that to create the form and the shapes, and we were able to basically translate that to the factory and create a three-dimensional molded part to create the design and hold. I feel like that gives you a little better lockdown. So, and also pretty design.
Yeah.
We also talk about like every single aspect of a shoe, like the Bondi should be plush. So when you think of your first experience as a runner grabbing the shoe and going to lace it and put it on, so much of that tactile sensation is happening up around the collar. So just finding those elements, to Val's point, where you can bring in that kind of richness, that hand feel, that plushness, and just that additional texture that really makes it feel nice and luxurious.
This reminds me because Instagram's always someone's enjoying a good time out on the water.
That's the rum.
In the digital world,
Sit one.
with videos, they say you have to have a good hook within like the first 10, 15 seconds to get someone to keep watching.
Yep.
So for you guys, this is like when someone puts their foot into a shoe, they have to feel like this is it.
Yep.
That feels like a lot of pressure.
Yeah, softer and lighter. So whenever we brief a shoe, we try to have like 3 must-haves for every shoe that we make. And those are kind of the elevator pitch for the shoe, right? So it holds the team accountable.
For a little dance break.
I like that we all joined in on that too. No one left me hanging out to dry. That was great.
It was enjoyable.
But honestly, like I think it really comes down to the team listening to runners, understanding what those key things are, because then we actually get to test that. We get to go to our wear testing teams. We get to get on athletes' feet, and we get to say, are those things that we really wanted to nail in this brief coming to life as people put it on? And if the answer is no, and we're missing a couple of those things, then we know we still have work to do. But that really helps guide us through the process.
And so for someone who's maybe not familiar with the Hoka Bondi, although I feel like if you know Hoka, you've certainly heard of the shoe. What is its intent? Like what's the brief for the shoe?
Yeah. I think it's interesting to consider. You have to look back all the way to 2011 anytime you talk about a Bondi. So when Hoka first started, the Mafate was the original concept shoe for Hoka, which was a trail running shoe with max stack height. The Bondi B was the first road running shoe for Hoka. So massive stack height, came out in spring 2011, and people are just like, what the heck is that
I remember
thing?
seeing them and being like, what is that moon shoe? And now it's normal.
Now every shoe looks sort of like that.
Yeah. But for us, ultimately in the line, when we look at the brief for a Bondi, this is the most luxe expression of cushioning within our Hoka lineup here. And there has to be an element of keeping a relatively lightweight experience connected to that, and then those 360 degrees of plush finishing detail. So that's kind of what helps make a Bondi a Bondi.
And are we, I mean, I'm hoping I know the answer to this, but are we going to see this giant stack plush shoe continue for a while? Is this trend staying around, or are we going to go back to the minimal movement?
Well, I think it's a question of right? I don't think anyone should ever be running in a max stack height shoe for everything that they're doing out there, which is why we also have shoes like a Mach 6 or a Cielo Road. So I think there's a huge value to having these different kind of proprioceptive experiences. We were talking about like our go-to rotations
Absolutely.
earlier today, and I think there's such a value to that the Bondi is amazing. We don't see the Bondi going away anytime soon. We love this franchise. It does so many good for so many people out there, whether it's running, walking, working in this franchise. But I think to have that additional variety is super helpful.
We have so
Trying
much
to get a
noise.
sneak peek over here.
That's what happens out on the seas.
Okay, but you also mentioned you talked about your like ideal lineups, so give them to us.
Do you want to start?
Yeah. I mean, my faves?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mach 6 for sure. Bondi 9. I think I'm an SCF gal for sure. And then I like using the new Rocket X3 and the Cielo 2.0.
Okay.
My main staple.
I think one of those is unfair to mention.
Sometimes you get the hookup when you design.
All right. Oh.
Are you also sample size?
She's not,
No.
but I am. So
She is the better hookup.
it's dangerous. My closet is just insanity. It's like Mary Poppins' purse of shoes, just new shoes coming out every day.
All right, what's your lineup?
So my daily go-to is also the Mach 6, which I love. I love the Skyflow for a little bit longer mileage, so it's a little bit more stack height. So it's kind of between a Mach, Clifton, and a Bondi in terms of height and feel.
Is the Skyflow the Mach or the Bondi X?
No,
Okay.
no plate.
No, you're thinking of Skyward X.
Yeah,
Skyward X.
Yeah, yeah.
No one's mentioning Skyward X. It's like my favorite.
So I
Hoka shoe.
also love the
Okay.
Skyward X. I remember running in a sample of that shoe for like the Shamrock Shuffle in Portland and came back to the office like, we're not crazy. This thing is going to be great. Yeah, that shoe's amazing.
It is great, especially when you're just fatigued from the day before after a workout. It just does the work for you and feels so bouncy on the roads. So
Yeah.
Neither of you said the Mach X 2.
The Mach X3 is going to be a go-to for me, for sure.
All right. You
Yeah.
like the new heel counter?
Yeah.
Is that the
Yep.
That's pretty much all,
I love
right?
a little more comfort. Like I think for some people that race day feel is amazing. I know a lot of friends who love that and prefer that when they want to feel fast for training. For me, I want a little hug when I go fast. A little hug.
Here's the difference I think between people like you guys and me. See, I don't want to go slow.
I didn't say I wanted to go slow.
But I'm not that fast. So like when I put on like a Mach X or a Mach X2 and I start my run and I'm like, oh, I'm feeling pretty good today.
Yeah.
And then I can kind of pick it up and it feels
Yeah.
a little faster. That's the experience I love. When I go into Bondi, I'm like, I'm stuck in that one pace.
Yeah.
So I like a shoe that I can sometimes like kick it up.
what about recovery runs?
I mean, all my runs are pretty much recovery runs. Compared to you guys. But, like, I get excited. Like, when we did 400 repeats in the new Cielo X1 2.0, I was doing 400s between 730 and 650, and Meg's doing 6 flat. So, you know, there's a little bit of
different, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't need recovery runs.
But speaking of recovery runs, we talked a little bit about the updates in the upper. Tell us about the new foam formulation we have here.
Yeah, I'm happy to give a little primer on that. So underfoot, you have 2 mil more stack height. So adding a little bit more stack height and plushness.
Always
to the
more is
Bondi.
great.
Yeah, just that
Wait,
little
is this a
extra
height thing?
something.
I just love the stack, and I'm here for it. Yeah,
We
Val
did that.
gets
We
it.
did that for you.
Yeah,
and for Val.
For shorties.
But then the
Shorties.
It was not in the brief, but it is a great added benefit, I guess. But really the hero here is the upgraded foam compound. So we did upgrade this to a super critically foamed EVA, which we've talked about, I feel like a lot of times here, but for anyone new to the party here, we love SCF EVA. As Val said, it's basically all of her closet when it comes to shoes. But by using this process for EVA foams, it just gives us a lighter bounce here, and in this case also softer foam. So when we talked about just bringing some of that like lively playfulness back to the Bondi, it was the perfect choice in this setup.
And is this foam in any of the other shoes in the lineup right now?
Similar to what we have in something like the Mach.
Okay.
But then you look at the stack heights, the geometries, completely different. Okay.
See, I think we need somebody at some point, I've been begging for this, to walk us through all the foams and what the chemical makeups are. Because we end up putting like marketing terms on the foam.
Yeah.
And then it's not the same. Like the Mach may have a different durometer, but it's basically the same chemical makeup or something like that. So this is the stuff that like we can't keep up with. TPEs, TPEs.
Yep.
I mean, even we can't. I mean, to a certain degree, we kind of try to build them around experience, and we let the chemist tell us, hey, this is the formula you want to get that kind of ride or feel.
Well, I also think you can't rely on just one ingredient to tell the whole story. So I know you all talked to Claire Wood. Claire Wood was my first manager when I moved into product, and she always used these amazing baking analogies, which I feel like now I've handed down the generations of product line managers under me. But when we look at foams, especially considering them like an ingredient, it truly is like baking. You could use the same ingredients, but depending on how it's baked, the mold you use, the result's going to be different. So I think just also considering, even if you called it the same thing, the end result, depending on the shoe it's in, could be a different experience.
Like the difference between a bagel and a pretzel.
Yeah, or like a crispy chocolate chip cookie or a soft gooey one.
Cookies.
Okay, so I asked you guys how closely you work with athletes, and you brought up scientists, chemists. How closely do you work with them?
Yeah, we actually have some amazing teams based in Asia that we work with, and then our development partners in-house are also the amazing keepers of knowledge for us in the Portland office. So every single shoe that we're working through, we are consulting with the experts, and basically we're saying this is the experience we're going for, help us figure out the best ingredients, and then they give us an amazing toolkit to work with.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Did you think that sitting on a yacht talking to people about shoes in Miami was going to be part of your job?
Heck no. I'm so happy it is, though. I have been looking forward to this trip for
This
months.
is why my mom is still so confused. She's always just
What
like,
do you
I
do?
don't know what your job is. She's like, when
Why
I
are
talk
you
on the phone, you sound stressed sometimes, but now I see you on a video on a boat.
All right, next question. You have to eliminate 5 people from this boat right now. Who's it going to be?
Those guys up there.
This got brutal.
Brutal.
All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Oh.
More questions. I had to write these down because, okay, I love celebrity gossip and trash
boy.
news and all of this good stuff.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, boy.
And
okay.
so many celebrities wear Hokas. So maybe you
Yeah.
already know some of them, but I'm going to list off some of them, and then you tell me who is your favorite
Ooh,
and
okay.
who's your least favorite.
Ooh.
Okay.
Who would you tell to stop wearing Hoka?
Get out of that.
This one's been in the news a lot lately.
Oh.
Blake Lively,
Boo.
Reese Witherspoon, Olivia Wilde, Cameron Diaz, Adam Sandler, Britney Spears, and Bella Hadid.
Wow.
Have all been wearing Hokas out and about.
I just finished watching The Morning Show, which I
that's
am
good.
obsessed with, and so I really love Reese Witherspoon. So I got to say, I'm pumped to see her in Hoka.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, who's your least, though?
I don't know half of those other people. I'm really not hip. I listen to old jazz records. I know Adam
Sandler's
Sandler.
my number one, okay?
Okay.
He puts a smile on my face. And he's been on SNL a lot lately. Let's, make it hot.
Do you have a least favorite on there? You kind of booed when I said Blake
Lively.
Lively.
I mean, boring. Next.
Wait, isn't that the one that's going through all the...
Yes.
Okay, all right.
All the drama, no.
You're gonna
And
have
she's,
to,
like,
you're gonna have
friends
to
with Taylor
fill me
Swift.
in. I need like a weekly digest.
Yeah. Yeah. I know all of it. I'll fill you in for sure. Okay, a few last questions here. What are you guys most excited for in 2025? Whether that's professional, personal, about shoes, not about shoes.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my first marathon. Yeah. Yeah.
What is it going to be?
CIM.
All right.
It's a good
Fingers
one.
crossed if I get there.
What shoe are you gonna wear?
I mean, the 2.0.
All right.
What? Oh my gosh.
Your turn.
This is kind of crazy. I actually had to remind myself like it's 2025 now because we work in so many different seasons all the time. I'm like, what year is it? Where are we? When are we?
What's coming?
I am really pumped for World Champs this year because I'm a track geek. So anytime we get to a big season where we just get to, I'm gonna put this plug out in the universe for me to go to Tokyo. I'm gonna manifest it right now through this conversation.
I think we might be there.
Are we renting a boat?
I think
Taking the boat to Tokyo.
Taking the boat to Tokyo.
I don't know if I'm comfortable with this. It's turning into that ride at Disney where, like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, I was like, it's a small world?
The ghosts come out.
About to go down like a really
Yeah.
splash zone.
All right, is there anything else?
I think that's it. Thank you guys for chatting with us on a yacht in Miami.
Interview for the next shoot. Where are we gonna go?
Oh yeah, dream destination and
Hot air balloon.
okay.
Ooh.
Anywhere?
Yeah, like New Mexico hot air balloon
Yeah.
festival
Cielo,
vibes.
sky.
Yeah.
Sky.
It works.
Yeah.
Skyward X2.
Look at it. We got it figured out already. I love it.
I'm in.
I just want to bungee off it. at the
Okay,
end.
I do that too.
We'll all jump together.
Yeah. For the last time.
Goodbye.
And there's the end of the podcast.
Got real dark.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. We look forward to trying out the shoe on Sunday. We're going to be doing kind of a different thing. Megan, you're going hard, but you feel it.
See what that's like.
You got it. You
What
got
hard
it.
and 80 feels like.
Yeah, I think I'll be fun running with Carl and Robbie and just testing the shoe at a moderate pace.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Thanks, guys.
Great.
It
All right,
was fun.
thanks.
Good stretch, got my laces tied. My trusty podcast by my side. If you wanna talk fun, it's the place to be. Yeah, it's the drop, D-R-O-P.